Having multiple tax buckets allows you to control how much taxable income you generate each year in retirement. You want that flexibility. That way we can plan for uncertainties. This flexibility can help you reduce taxes on Social Security benefits if that's an issue, avoid higher tax brackets, as well as create predictable income in retirement that's not subject to taxes. Welcome to the Millionaire Insider Podcast, formerly the Wealth Inside and Out podcast, where we help you create a confident, secure retirement and life you love. I'm Annette Ba'u, certified financial planner and founder of the Millionaire Insider. For over 36 years, I've helped pre-retirees and retirees turn their paychecks into guaranteed income, reduce unnecessary risk, and protect their legacy while designing a retirement filled with purpose and freedom. Because true wealth isn't just about money, it's about confidence, clarity, and control over your future. So let's dive in. I'm so glad to have you here with us today. Our free resource is our retirement readiness quiz. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/RRQ. If you want to learn which stage you're in your retirement preparation, you're going to love this quiz. Again, you can access it at themillionaireinsider.com/RRQ. You just have to answer a few questions and you're going to get the next best step so that you can take action and achieve your goals. For today's show notes, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/156. The Millionaire Insider copyrights all materials and intellectual property. This information is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide any investment, financial planning, tax, retirement, or healthcare advice. By accessing this content, you agree to hold the Millionaire Insider and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. So many people approaching retirement hear about Roth IRAs, right? And maybe even you're a little bit before pre-retiree, but you've heard of them, but you aren't fully sure how they work or whether you should use one. So today we're going to dive into that. A Roth IRA can be really powerful when it comes to retirement planning. It allows your investments to grow tax-free and in many cases to be withdrawn tax-free when you actually retire. Understanding how this account fits into your overall retirement plan can really make a difference in how much money you have as well as how much you keep so that you really are being more tax efficient. The key is to understand how it works and who can benefit from it and how it fits into a bigger, broader financial plan. Now, I'm going to give you insights so that you can start connecting the dots, but obviously the key before you do anything on any investment or any financial aspect of your life is you need to be checking with a qualified advisor because they need to look at your full situation. We're going to talk about one product, one asset of your plan, but it most certainly is not a recommendation on what you should do without looking at your big picture. And that should be with a qualified fiduciary is my recommendation. So one of the things that I often tell my clients is that a solid retirement plan isn't as much about chasing returns. It's really about creating a coordinated strategy that allows you to worry less and enjoy life more. Meaning, if you're sleeping at night and you're not worrying about money, that is the goal. And unfortunately, throughout my life, I've seen some people who have been worried about money. Some people who have more than they probably will ever need worried, some that should be worried that aren't, and everywhere in between. And the key is really that you're enjoying your life. You're waking up with that peace of mind, that energy that really just allows you to live life on your terms and when you're not worried about money or if you're going to run out of it. So I want to first of all just start with some basics. What is a Roth IRA? That's the first thing you got to know. A Roth IRA is a Roth individual retirement account, and it's a retirement savings account that allows your money to grow tax-free and in many cases to be withdrawn tax-free in retirement. So let's look at the difference between a Roth and a traditional IRA, just so you have something to compare it to. A traditional IRA, you typically receive a tax deduction today, but then you withdraw the money in retirement, and that when you withdraw it, that's when it's taxed. With a Roth, you pay the taxes on the money today, but the qualified withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. So it can be really powerful. For many pre-retirees, this can be a powerful strategy. Many of my peers who have money set these up for their kids. And I wish I would have done that with my daughter. Instead, I did an IRA, and it just would have been so much wiser to do a Roth. With our children now, the ones that show up and sign the form, we do a Roth. I sort of laugh. One of my sons is right there, signs it, gets it done. The other one, it's just too busy. I'm like, if somebody was offering me free money, I think I could drive 10 minutes and arrange my schedule. It is just so interesting how different children are. But anyway, that's just something I have to laugh about. One of the reasons a Roth can be so powerful is because most of us believe taxes are not going to go down. The reality of it is, especially if you have money, taxes are going to go up. They have to go up. I mean, we cannot be operating at a deficit like we are. I mean, I was reading one report and they were saying, there were 2 different months where they spent over 500 million each month. I mean, do the math. I mean, we're going to be at 40 trillion in no time. And the unfortunate truth of that is taxes are going to have to be higher. And there's going to likely be cuts in Social Security, Medicare. They're already talking about using AI on Medicare, where 5 states or 6 states are starting it, Arizona being one, and they get more money by the more declines they have. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's concerning. It's going to happen. And I personally feel that as the younger generation takes over, they're going to be like, wait a minute, how much money are we paying out in Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid? I just think there's going to be a rude awakening in the future. And that's why it's important that we take our retirement into our own hands so that if Social Security is not there like it is today, or we have cuts in Medicare, that we have a plan B. I just broke my leg skiing over Thanksgiving, 72,000 just for the hospital bill. I stayed there 3 nights, 72,000. And the total expense has been well over 100,000. I just look at these expenses and think, my goodness, I mean, a lot of people, something like that could cause them to lose most of their assets. So we've just got to be prepared for what lies ahead. With a Roth IRA, you're essentially prepaying taxes on your retirement because, like, let's say you have $1 million in your IRA, that's not yours. It's $1 million less whatever your tax bracket is. So if you're in the 25% tax bracket, then it's going to be $750,000. If you're in the 30, it's going to be $700,000, and so on. If you believe that later in life you're going to have higher taxes, then it makes a lot more sense to pay those taxes now. I never really thought I would be, but the reality of it is as your assets grow, and I look at how much money we have in retirement, hopefully this year, last year we just had too much income. It just was ridiculous. But this year, hopefully we are going to be able to start converting some of my husband's IRAs into a Roth, just so that we have that tax-free income as compared to it being taxable. And it's going to push us when we both have to start taking our money. We are just going to be in the tax poorhouse. And so that's what we're trying to avoid. So let's talk about 4 insights that are helpful for you to know about a Roth. A lot of people think, oh, it's really a simple retirement account, but there are some important details that you should know so that you can decide if a Roth is right for you and your retirement plan. The first thing is that the tax-free growth can be super powerful. That's probably one of the biggest advantages of the Roth is that you're getting that tax-free compounding. Once your money's inside that account, the investment growth isn't taxed, dividends aren't taxed, capital gains aren't taxed, and if certain conditions are met, withdrawals in the retirement are completely tax-free. So for someone with 20 to 30 years until retirement, that can cause a huge difference as far as the money. If you look at 2 different people, one being taxed annually and the other, it's growing tax-free, and then they're getting it without paying taxes, it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. In fact, one scenario I looked at where they were running numbers, the person literally by making strategic conversions of their IRA and deciding when to take their Social Security generated over 500,000 more than if they would not have done it. So again, you just got to look at it. Many financial advisors see the Roth IRA as one of the most valuable tax advantage accounts available. So I really encourage you to consider it and to really look if it makes sense for your situation. All right, number 2. This is my favorite. There are no required minimum distributions. Traditional retirement accounts like an IRA or 401k require minimum distributions, RMD, once you reach a certain age. Currently it's 73, it just was 72. It's going to go up for many of us to 75. That's going to change 100 times. So if you want to know what it is, you go to Google or you go to Anthropic and you type it in and you ask. That is key. Currently it's 73, at least today while I'm recording this. With a Roth IRA, there are no required minimum distributions during your lifetime, so you don't have to take the money. This provides so much flexibility and it can allow the account to continue growing tax-free for decades. When you do decide to withdraw the money, it can be really strategic and it can be tied into your tax plan. So you say, okay, this year we're at this rate and we can still have this much more income without getting pushed into a higher tax bracket. All right, let's take this much money this year. You have that flexibility. With a traditional IRA, you don't. For retirees focused on tax planning, this flexibility can help so much and it can put more money in your bottom line, which is the key. And I think a lot of people think, oh, it gets so complicated. Well, if you can generate an extra 500,000 over the course of your life or even 100,000, save taxes, why wouldn't you want to consider it? Makes complete sense. All right, number 3, income limits can prevent direct contributions. So one limitation many people encounter is that a Roth IRA contributions are restricted by income limits. You want to know the current one? Go search it. But this is a problem for any of us that are high income earners, is that we can't contribute, right? So the one thing that's a little sneaky, but it's doable, is what's known as a backdoor Roth IRA. And I will link to the interview I did with Oscar on the backdoor Roth. But the interesting point of it is you can put money in to a regular IRA, non-deductible, and then you can take that money and put it over in a Roth. Now, I'm going to be real honest with you. I've done that a few years. My husband's done it a few years. It's a hassle. It's so smart to do. But do I do it? It's like, it's what, 7,500? I don't know. 7 to 8,000. You need to look up the number. I don't know exactly how much it is, but it's such a hassle. And I look at some of my clients that are so diligent in doing that, but you have to basically put it in an IRA. And unfortunately, most of those earn a little bit of income. So then you have to deal with that. Then it goes out of that into the Roth. And it's just time consuming. But it is something that can be really advantageous, especially for those of us in a higher income bracket and tax bracket. And then number 4, Roth IRAs can be a powerful tax diversification tool. That's a mouthful. One of the things that a lot of people overlook is the power of tax diversification, meaning that you're diversifying your tax exposure. And I can always look at a person's portfolio and tell if they're getting tax planning, because where you put your guaranteed income, where you put your appreciating assets, where you structure, how you structure your Roth IRA, all those things are so critical. And the bottom line is a lot of people just don't understand that. And it is complicated. I don't really get into a lot of that on this podcast because it's so complicated. But I will say this much: you've got to be ideally minimizing your taxes and maximizing your growth. And by minimizing your taxes, you're going to pay a lot less. You're going to have more money in your pocket. And to do that, you got to really look at how you're structuring your income, specifically your guaranteed income and your appreciating assets, based on where you are from a tax perspective now, as well as what you project into the future. And obviously the future is a little more difficult, but even from now, just assuming things are similar, or there might be changes here, there might be changes there, and you might have to reevaluate at some point. But from the perspective right now where you are, it's absolutely critical. It just makes such a difference in your life. In my opinion, a balanced retirement strategy includes assets that are tax deferred, like an IRA or a 401k, tax-free accounts like a Roth, and then taxable investment accounts. The percentage of what you should have in each one depends on your situation and where you've got assets, but it's something that you really want to look at. You don't ideally want to have just your retirement and your personal investment account. That is not ideal. Having all 3 is better, as it is having other accounts that also can generate income and help you from a tax perspective. Having multiple tax buckets allows you to control how much taxable income you generate each year in retirement. You want that flexibility. That way we can plan for uncertainties. This flexibility can help you reduce taxes on Social Security benefits if that's an issue, avoid higher tax brackets, as well as create predictable income in retirement that's not subject to taxes. So let's talk for 1 minute about a backdoor Roth. I talked about it just a little bit, but let's just recap on it. So it's a legal strategy that allows individuals with higher incomes to place their money in a Roth. And it typically works with two steps. You contribute to the traditional IRA, and then you convert the funds into a Roth. Because the original contribution was made with after tax dollars, because you don't qualify for a deduction, the conversion may create little or no additional tax liability. It's like minuscule. If you're putting in the right account, it's going to be a little bit, and you have to be really timely on it, but it's irrelevant. This strategy allows higher income earners to work around the Roth income limits, and those limits are pretty low, the last I checked. But again, if you can qualify on that front, then more power to you. Most people can't. However, on currently, if you're converting an IRA to a Roth, there is not a limit on the amount of that. So that's a plus for many of us. But these rules have to be carefully considered. And again, you've got to look at your big picture to make sure you know what's right for you. But it's really important that you look at coordinating your overall plan, whether it's a Roth, an IRA, a 401k, or even a personal pension, an annuity, or personal investments, that they're all coordinated. And I strongly recommend that you use a financial advisor who's got tax expertise and who is a fiduciary. So they're looking out for your best interest. So let's talk about who should consider a Roth. Well, it can be beneficial for many individuals. There's a particular group of people that it really benefits. One is you expect your tax rate to be higher in retirement than it is today. How many years are you going to have that tax-free compounding? Maybe you want flexibility in retirement so that you don't get pushed into a higher tax bracket without consciously agreeing to it. You could be someone who wants to leave your tax efficient assets to your heirs, or you're simply looking to diversify your retirement strategy and specifically your tax strategy. Many pre retirees between 50 and 65 find Roth strategies very useful in their larger picture plan. Now, again, depends on the situation, how much money you have, what your issues are. But assuming you've got money and you want to be tax efficient, it can be a great strategy. Another thing that's really powerful as far as Roth conversions is doing those during lower income years. Now, one of the things that really to this day makes me so frustrated is that I wanted to do one years ago, and we had 2 years where we had very low income. I had pretty much stopped my advisory practice and I was doing my online, and it was just would have been the ideal time to do it. And my CPA talked me out of it. You don't want to pay taxes on that. And I'm looking back on that, it was the worst advice I could have ever got. And so, it can happen to all of us. But again, you got to get with a qualified person. And that doesn't mean it's a CPA. It might be a financial advisor, but somebody that really understands the big picture and can help you design a financial plan that works for you and really make sure you're being smart in your tax planning and in all your investment planning, as well as your guaranteed income. The one thing I want you to leave with is that Roth IRAs work better when they are combined with your big picture plan. Just like any strategy, you want to integrate it into a bigger picture. You got to look at factors such as how much income you need in retirement, taxes today versus how much they'll be, Social Security and the timing of that, and how this may impact it. Meaning you may elect to take some of the money out of the Roth and then delay Social Security. It's really interesting that with everything that's going on, I am seeing more people taking their Social Security earlier than I have ever seen in my life. And it's interesting because it's people that have, are on both sides of the aisle, liberals and conservatives. I find that very interesting. It's nothing I've ever seen before, but I think it's because a lot of people are fearful. They don't know what's going to happen in the future and they don't want to risk not getting it. So again, I can't stress enough that you got to talk with a qualified advisor before you make any decisions. And then you got to look at your investment strategy. your guaranteed income planning. Where is that money best invested? And that's where I see a lot of people make so many mistakes. Now, if you have questions on that, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/support and get support on those questions. But it's something that can literally save you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing it strategically. And then obviously looking at your estate planning goals. That's something that too you want to make sure is considered. Over the years, one of the things I have found about people is I'll meet with people who are constantly worried about their money. Once they have a clear plan that includes their income, it includes their retirement, it includes their estate plan, and they understand how everything's working together, their peace of mind soars and they're spending their time doing what they love, not worrying. That's where I want every one of you to be. And starting with a plan is the key. When your investments, taxes, and income strategies are coordinated, retirement becomes less stressful and more enjoyable. You're not thinking or worrying about money or wondering how long it's going to last. Oh, so powerful. All right, some final thoughts. A Roth IRA can be one of the most valuable tools when it comes to retirement planning. Again, depending on your situation and that you've met with a qualified advisor. With tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals, and flexibility in retirement, it offers benefits that few other accounts can match. I mean, that's kind of like priceless. But the real power of a Roth comes from using it as part of that comprehensive financial and retirement plan. When you understand how everything is fitting together into your larger retirement plan, you're in a position where you're making smarter decisions about saving, investing, and managing your assets and your taxes throughout your life. What more can you ask for? That is the ultimate goal, in my opinion. And creating a plan that allows you to stop worrying about money and spending more time doing what you love, that, my friend, is my goal. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. I'm Annette Ba'u. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye for now.